And welcome to the Screen Squad podcast. We're being joined by record-holding, 7-time Emmy-winning actor and a true legend in the industry, Mr. Ed Asner. Ed, you're a Kansas City guy just like us. We're already off to a great start.
Well, maybe. You haven't passed my muster yet.
Well, you're from Kansas City. We're here in Kansas City. Tell us just about where you grew up here in the city. Obviously, it's changed a bit over the years. I don't know how often you're able to get back here, but just kind of talk about your upbringing, where you are from here in Kansas City.
Are you in Kansas City?
Yep,
Absolutely.
Yep, we're in the North Kansas City area.
That's where you're based?
Yep.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I love to perform as a kid. I love to be drafted for any play that came along, either at my temple or in school. But I never volunteered. And then in high school, because I had this crush on radio, I took radio in high school. And Florence Hoare was the teacher. And the first year, I guess we studied principles. I'm not sure what we studied. But then we got down to producing, and there was a local radio station, and we would get a chance to do a 15-minute show once a week. So we'd write the show, we'd do the music, or others would do the music, and we'd act in it, and one of us would direct, and we put on our little spectacle. And I loved it. I really loved it. It got me to enjoy radio, which had done so much to entertain me all those 4 years of high school.
Well, Ed, let's kind of fast forward here to today. You've got so many projects in the works right now. If I listed them all, the interview would be over. So just kind of go through some of your favorites that you're working on right now and tell us a little bit about those.
Well, let's see. I'm leaving on Monday to do a day's work on a film in Vancouver, BC. And it's a continuation of a character I did in another movie I made for these people. I think it's called All About Love. Then I come back and I do 5 days of taping. I have co-written a book called what the hell's the name of it? The Grouchy Historian is the name of the book. And it deals with the founding fathers and the fact that a cult has arisen in our country, people who claim to be originalists, who seem to know what was in the brains of the framers of the Constitution, that they know what they really meant. I imply that they're full of crap, and try to point it out in various ways. Mr. Scalia was one of those people.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry that he's departed. I'd like to go one-on-one with him. Anyway, Ed Weinberger and I co-wrote the book, and it's coming out with Simon & Schuster on October 10th. So we're doing interviews and promo on that through that period. I just come back from doing 4 performances of a one-man show that Ed Weinberger also wrote, and the name of that is A Man and His Prostate. and that's done very well wherever we do it. It's very funny, and it imparts a lot of information that people should otherwise know about their little prostate.
Well, this has inspired me to go get an exam, Ed. I'm going to go get that done right now, just thanks to you. And Ed, I want to get into this because you've done so much over your career. We obviously, could talk about so many things, but being the president of the Screen Actors Guild for 5 years' time, in doing that role, do you encounter a lot of politics? Is it kind of one of those deals where there's a lot of pressure on you? Do you encounter a lot of people, from both sides trying to get things accomplished? Just talk about your role doing that, and how difficult was that job in general?
What, prostate?
Or prostate exams, or being the president of the Screen Actors Guild? Which one is more difficult?
Prostate is easy. Screen Actors Guild is hard.
Yeah.
Because no matter how hard you try, eventually you leave, and opposing philosophies seep in and settle in, and you wonder, why did I ever bother? And I, of course, question that now.
Well, yeah.
It's merged with AFTRA. There are now 160,000 members belonging to the joint union, and I certainly don't think it's any stronger. So that troubles me.
Let's go back to the beginning here. A few years before you were Screen Actor Guild's president here, your first breaking into Broadway in Face of a Hero alongside Jack Lemmon in 1960, and then your first film appearance in 1962 with Elvis Presley in Kid Galahad. What was it like breaking into Broadway, breaking into film, and working with two legends like Jack Lemmon and Elvis Presley?
Oh, they were both lovely people as far as I was concerned. Elvis never put on a dog with me. I did 2 films with him, and he was a smooth fellow. There was no need for him to put on the dog with me. But he certainly seemed desirous of learning, and did. Jack Lemmon, when I did, what was it? What was the movie I did with Jack? Damn it. JFK. I scratched his face the 2 times I did it with him, and he seemed to enjoy the fact that I had scratched him. So there you have it. He was always a supporter of mine, and I miss him.
Yes, we all do. He's such great work from Jack, and as well as yourself. And I wanted to get into you did 1 episode of this, but you also did a TV biography for this man, Michael Landon. You were in the show Highway to Heaven. I just want to get your thoughts on working with him and just the great man that he was.
He was a great man. I had worked with him on an experimental movie many years before, and he was nice enough then, but directing and writing the show I did for him on Angel, he couldn't have been. He was set up to do the scene one way. When I showed him what I wanted to do, he realized that he'd have to change the lighting, and he was quite willing to do that, and he was pleased with the results.
Now, you worked with another great actor, again, sadly gone too soon. You were in 1 episode of The Crazy Ones with the great Robin Williams. What was that experience like, working with him?
Well, he couldn't have been nicer. He couldn't have been the sweetheart he was. I felt that the show lacked because it did not write well for him. And there were others on the show who looked good. And he was left hanging dry. And I resented the fact that he was placed in such a position.
Now, Ed, 14 years of playing the same character, Lou Grant, 8 on Mary Tyler Moore, 6 on the spinoff Lou Grant. What were some of the pros, and if there were any cons, of playing the same character for 14 years?
With the Mary Tyler Moore character, I used a lot of my two older brothers who were bombastic and big and outspoken, and they were funny. I used them a lot in doing the Lou that I did. Then when we got to Lou Grant, the Hour Show, I realized I couldn't do that same sort of bombast. And looked and finally realized I had to plunge into myself to do the scripts the justice they deserved.
Well, Ed, I tell you what, one person that I've always been so curious about, that's always fascinated me so much, you worked with on Alfred Hitchcock Presents. What it was an amazing show. Obviously a huge fan of the film, of Psycho and things like that. But what was your experience working with someone like Alfred Hitchcock, who always just came across as, this kind of enigmatic personality? What was Alfred like?
I never met him. He never appeared while I was filming either show. One was a half-hour show, the other was an hour show. And in neither case did he show up, but the actors he had on those shows were truly wonderful. I think Robert Redford was one, and I can't remember the name of the brunette actor who was a friend of mine as well. Can't think of. Diana Hyland was the wife, and R.G. Armstrong was on a half-hour show with me. And they were all great to be with and to work with.
Led, I was wondering, you've done so many things. Have you ever worked with an ensemble cast as great as the Mary Tyler Moore Show had? Obviously yourself, Mary Tyler Moore, Gavin MacLeod, Ted Knight, Valerie Harper, George Engel, Betty White, Cloris Leachman. I could keep going. It's such a great cast. Stands the test of time. Just have you ever worked with a cast like that?
No. But I will tell you that the cast that we got for Lou Grant, the Hour Show, each one of those actors was beautiful in his own. And I would put them against the cast of Mary Tyler Moore any day, as far as quality went, because they all cut the mustard.
Well, talk about, because you were a regular on a show like Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. Talk about just, being a California, transplant now, about the Sunset Strip in general, because it went, Hollywood itself has gone through so many changes. And the Sunset Strip in particular, there was a lot of shows filmed there on the Sunset Strip. Just talk about that show in particular, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, and just kind of how the Hollywood and West Hollywood has changed over time.
Well, I loved what the writer Aaron Sorkin did for that character. But unfortunately at that time, he was spending a lot of his writing on the young lovers in the show. And that led finally to its cancellation, I guess. And I would have thrived beautifully if the show had continued on and he wrote for me steadily as he wrote on that particular batch of shows I did while I was there.
Well, Ed, this is kind of off the cuff here. A short that you did, Autism and Cake. I've worked with kids with autism before. Just how did you get involved in that project?
Well, my youngest son is autistic. And my older son is vice president of the Autism Society. And he has married a lady, and his youngest son is autistic, and he married a lady who has two autistic sons herself. So it tends to surround us wherever we go.
Yeah, it definitely does. Ed, and I tell you, the things that you've done, the impact that you've been able to make goes far beyond films or television. When you look back at your career, do you feel that you've been able to impact people more through your political views and stances, or through the things you've done through Hollywood?
Oh, certainly the stuff I've done in Hollywood is much more popular.
Well, what interests you more? Are you more interested in the political side or the art side?
How can I say I'm not interested in the artistic side?
Right.
Because it keeps us entertained as well as provides our bad bread and butter and our continuation.
Well,
the political side that I'm engaged in, the truths are so awful, and if nobody else is attempting to amend them or to adjust them, then it's up to us to do what we can.
Yeah, well, Ed, back in the day, you had a stance, your stance and views in the situation in El Salvador. You received death threats, bomb threats. You lost sponsors for your show. Ultimately, ended up losing your show. It feels like because of that situation and your views. Picketers drove by yelling and cursing at your house. Just to me, that's just something I'll never understand. People taking things just too far after hearing an opposing opinion. Looking back on that situation, the reaction that garnered from that, would you have handled that any differently?
Well, you follow your heart and found out later that there was a price to pay for doing that. But you learn by doing that. Even when I got my show canceled, Lou Grant that is, up until that point, any positions I had taken, I felt I had checked out and felt that the ground was safe, that I could speak and not get hurt. When that happened, when the denouement on Lou Grant happened, I realized that the time had come where I was going to pay the price. And I was prepared not to work again in our industry. Fortunately, I survived it.
Yes, fortunately for all of us.
I don't know what to tell you. There comes a time where either you're bigger than you think you are, or you can't stand the guilt of keeping your mouth shut.
Yeah.
So both of them take place, and you reveal yourself.
Well, you work with Ted Knight. We've heard you say that he was the funniest man you've ever worked with, but he also kind of had some remarks after Lou Grant went off the air that weren't so favorable. Did that kind of take you back or shock you at all?
Well, I guess I smelled the fact that Ted was not a something-hearted liberal, but I was surprised that he exacted a toll on me when expressing himself. He tried to toe the line as best he could, but it wasn't good enough. He's still the funniest man I ever knew, and I'm sorry that we disagreed.
Yeah. Well, Ed, Clint and I, we're not the biggest politics guys, so just real quick, you got to be our political analyst. We got to ask you about Donald Trump, our new president. People often say I'm too nice. If I were to put my political analyst hat on, I would probably be too nice and just say, this isn't going so well, Ed. This isn't going so well. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the potential of what is happening now has been brewing and breeding for a lot of years now. I marched against the wars in Iraq, and I am a How do I wish to tell you? I'm a 9/11 conspiracy nut. So, all these things are happening, and I can understand why people get so frustrated they finally vote for Donald Trump, because they can't find anybody who's expressing their outrage as well as he does. Even though he's nuts, it still helps them get stuff off their chests. The fact to worry about, a number of facts to worry about in this world. President Eisenhower warned us of the military-industrial complex. Our country's 250 years old. There have only been 21 years in that 250 that we have not been at war with somebody. What's the other thing I wanted to say? I can't remember what the other thing.
Well, I was going to ask you too about Ronald Reagan, because obviously another person that was an actor turned politician, and I know you guys were kind of on opposing viewpoints there in the early '80s. But for what I've heard, that you did like him, and did you have any interaction with Reagan during the '80s?
Did I have any interaction with who?
With Ronald Reagan.
No, I only ran into him at the beach once.
Oh, well, did you talk about Star Wars, or?
We didn't talk about anything. I don't think he was president yet. I think he was just still governor.
Well, I think we have a missed opportunity here, because Ronald Reagan was an actor turned president. I think that I would definitely have been on the Ed Asner for president bandwagon. I think you missed the opportunity, Ed. We could have got you in there, maybe after Ronald or before.
There's gold in them dar hills.
Well,
and I would say to you that before he ran for governor, he was a big liberal when he was president of the Screen Actors Guild. His politics had been liberal. He was married to Jane Wyman, who was a very big liberal. So it was a switcheroo he pulled.
Wow. You do see that happen, but I'll tell you what, Ed, the words national treasure don't quite even sum up all that you've done, and I'm just so glad to see you still doing these projects, still out there, because you're a true talent in every sense of the word. And we just wanted to say thank you for joining us today. But from two Kansas Cityans to another, we just can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk to us, man. It really means a lot.
Oh, that's very, very sweet, and I thank you for that. Hey, since I got you, were you there for the eclipse?
Yes,
of course.
Yeah, we
and it went right over Kansas City, right?
Yep. We were right here in Liberty, Missouri, which is where we teach, and it went right over here, and there was news everywhere here, and it was all very exciting. So yes, we did.
Well, we missed it. I was in where was it? Old Saybrook, Connecticut, and we missed it there.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you guys got to catch it.
We did, and I tell you, Ed, your old stomping grounds out here in Wyandotte are a lot different than when you left. I'll tell you what, I don't know if you've ever been out here, but it is crazy. All the malls and the speedway and the stadium that we have out here, it's crazy. I know you're a Wyandotte guy, so I wanted to bring that up.
Well, I'm delighted at the new kind of condition of government that has taken over for Kansas City, Kansas. I think this county type of arrangement seems to be working well.
Yeah, it's a great city, and it's great. You're Kansas City's favorite son, no doubt about it. And that is you and Harry Truman. I don't know which one's more of a treasure, you or Harry Truman. It could be either one.
Well, he was a hell of a president.
Absolutely. Ed, best of luck. We would love to keep in touch with you, anything you have going on. We just are so thankful for you joining us. Please take care, and God bless you, my friend, and we'll be in touch, okay?
Thanks so much. It was lovely being with you, and call anytime.
Thank
Hey,
you.
it was a huge thrill and an honor. Thank you so much, and we'll definitely be in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.